You don't need to know who I'm with. We're on a break. She texted at 2:00 a.m. So I let the break be permanent. Now, she's begging me to talk while her break partner blocked her. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. Hayley had been restless for weeks before she said it. Little comments started slipping into everyday conversations about how life feels small lately, or how she needed to breathe without explaining herself all the time. At first, I brushed it off as normal burnout. We'd both been working a lot, barely making time for anything, but takeout and Netflix. But under her tone, I could feel something heavier. Not exhaustion, but detachment. We'd been together 3 years. I thought we were solid. We talked about moving into a bigger apartment, maybe getting a dog. I wasn't perfect, but I was steady. I didn't yell. I didn't play games. And I always kept my promises. Apparently, that wasn't thrilling enough anymore. It was a Friday night when she brought it up. We were eating dinner, chicken, stir fry, her favorite, and she barely touched her plate. She looked at me, serious but rehearsed, like she'd practiced the line in her head a dozen times. Can we talk about something without you getting defensive? That's never a good start. Sûr. I said, setting my fork down. I feel like I need some space. She began, not forever, just to figure myself out. Things have felt off lately. Off how, I don't know. I just feel like I'm losing myself a little. Like everything is about work and bills and us. And I don't want to start resenting you. I nodded slowly. So, you want a break? Not exactly a break, she said quickly. Just time to think. I don't want to see other people or anything. I just need to breathe. It sounded harmless enough, but the way she avoided eye contact told me everything I needed to know. Hayley. I said quietly, if you need space, take it. Just be honest about what kind of space you're asking for. Her jaw tightened. Why do you always have to turn everything into an interrogation? This isn't about you. It's about me needing to figure out who I am. That line, this isn't about you, sat like a stone in my chest. Because, of course, it was about me. About us. About her pulling away from something that had never done anything to her but show up. I didn't argue. I just said, okay, take the time you need. She looked surprised. That's it. Yeah. I said, you can't force someone to stay if they don't want to. Her expression flickered between relief and confusion, like she expected a fight and didn't know what to do with that one. The next morning, she packed a small duffel bag just for a few days and said she'd be staying with a friend. No tears. No goodbye kiss. Just a quiet, I'll text you soon. I watched her car pull out of the driveway, the taillights fading into the early morning fog. The apartment felt different the moment the door closed behind her. Airless, but peaceful. For the first few days, I tried to give her what she'd asked for. I didn't text. I didn't call. I went to work, came home, cooked. For one, the silence was weird, but not unbearable. I told myself that if the space helped her realize what she wanted, it'd be worth it. Then came the little cracks. She'd view my stories on social media, but never message me. She'd post photos of girls' nights, always with one corner of the picture cropped to hide whoever else was there. It felt intentional, like she wanted to be seen, but not questioned. A week passed, then 2. I told myself I wasn't going to chase her. I wasn't going to ask for updates or clarity. I'd let her have her freedom and see what she did with it. Deep down, I already knew the answer. When you really love someone, you can feel when they've already left long before they say it out loud. That's the thing about breaks. They don't give you space to fix something. They give the other person permission to test what life feels like without you. And Hayley was already testing it. She just hadn't realized yet that I was too... It was a Tuesday night when it happened. I'd gone to bed early after a long day, and around 2:07 a.m., my phone lit up on the nightstand. I didn't check it right away. Just rolled over and tried to ignore it. But something told me to look. The message preview glowed through the dark. Hayley, you don't need to know who I'm with. We're on a break. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was shocked. Somewhere deep down, I'd been expecting it. But because of the tone, it wasn't guilty or apologetic. It was defensive, cruel. Ava, like she was daring me to react. I read it again. Slower this time, the kind of message that ends a chapter. There was no, I'm sorry. No, I miss you. No explanation. Just that one sentence. You don't need to know who I'm with. That was the moment something in me shut off. Not out of anger, but clarity. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't confused. I wasn't waiting. I wasn't trying to guess where her head was. I finally knew exactly where I stood with someone who didn't respect me enough to lie gently. I didn't reply. I didn't even open the message fully. I just locked my phone and set it face down. Then I got up, went to the bathroom, and looked at myself in the mirror. My face looked calm, empty, but calm. In that silence, I realized something important. I wasn't heartbroken. I was done. The next morning, I woke up early, made coffee, and started packing. Her half of the closet was still half empty from when she left. So it didn't take long. I gathered her things, books, clothes, makeup, and neatly packed them into boxes. No theatrics, no broken pictures, no angry texts. I left the keys on the counter with a note that said, "Take care of yourself." Then I called my friend Tyler, who had a spare room in his apartment. "Hey man," I said, "still need a roommate." He hesitated. "Did something happen?" "Just growing up," I replied. By lunchtime, I'd moved most of my stuff out. When Haley texted again later that afternoon, "Haley, wow. So you're just going to ignore me now." I was already gone. I didn't respond. I didn't even read the full thread. I left her words sitting there, waiting for a reply that would never come. That night, I slept better than I had in weeks. Over the next few days, she tried to bait me back into the conversation. "Haley, you're overreacting. We said we were on a break. Haley, you're acting like I cheated. Haley, you always said we'd work through anything." I guess that was a lie. 2. I stayed silent. Each message came a little more defensive, a little less confident. The more she reached out, the less power her words had. A few nights later, she sent one more message. "Haley, Fina, do whatever you want. You'll regret this when you realize no one else will ever care about you like I did." That one almost made me laugh because in that moment, I realized the exact opposite was true. I was finally starting to care about myself the way she never did. I deleted her number, not blocked, not muted, just erased. She made it clear she wanted space, and I was finally giving her exactly that. Permanent space. While she was out on a break figuring out who she was with, I was figuring out who I was without her. And the more I did, the more peaceful it felt. The silence didn't bother me. Not at first. I went to work, hit the gym again, started cooking real meals instead of just grabbing takeout. It was strange how quickly the apartment felt lighter once her presence was gone. Like the air itself stopped tiptoeing around her moods. Haley used to say I was too comfortable with boredom. I used to think she was right. But that week, I realized she confused peace with dullness. She needed chaos to feel alive. I just needed quiet to feel human. 2 days after I moved out, she started calling again. I didn't pick up. The calls turned into voicemails. The first one was casual. Hey, I just saw your stuff's gone. You didn't have to be dramatic. You know, I was going to come get my things this weekend. The second had a sharper edge. So, you're really ignoring me now. That's mature. You can't even have a conversation. By the third, she was crying. I didn't mean it like that. Okay, it wasn't serious. I just needed time to figure things out. You can't just erase me like this. Please call me. I didn't. Tyler and I grabbed beers that night. He'd known Haley, too, mostly from parties and a few double dates. When I told him what she'd said, "You don't need to know who I'm with," he winced. Jesus. "Man, that's cold. You good?" I nodded. "Yeah. Weirdly good." He raised an eyebrow. "Then don't look back. Someone who talks to you like that once will do it again." A week passed before I heard from her again. This time The tone was different. Hale, I think I messed up. Hale, he's not who I thought he was. Hale, can we just talk? Please. I didn't reply, but curiosity got the better of me later that night. So I checked her social media. Her profile, once full of filtered selfies and couple shots, had gone quiet. Then I noticed something. Her break partner, the guy she'd been with, or at least hinted at, had unfollowed her. His profile picture, which used to include her, was changed. Every trace of her was gone. She wasn't just reaching out to talk. She was reaching out because she'd been replaced. The next day, she showed up outside my work. I saw her through the glass door, pacing, phone in hand, looking nervous. I could have walked out and let her speak her piece, but instead, I asked the front desk to tell her I was busy. She left after 20 minutes. An hour later, another message came in. Hale, I'm sorry. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you. It wasn't serious with him. I just needed to clear my head. You know, how things got between us. Hale, I just want to fix this. I stared at the message for a while, and I realized something that hit harder than any breakup could. She still didn't get it. It wasn't about the guy or the break or the 200A. Text. It was about respect. The quiet kind. The one that keeps you from humiliating someone who once trusted you. She'd shattered that. And there was no version of us where it came back. So instead of replying, I archived the thread and put my phone down. Haley wanted to talk now that her safety net had cut the rope, but I'd already learned to live without it. That night, as I sat on Tyler's balcony with a beer in hand, I looked out at the city lights and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, not bitterness, but relief. I was finally free from the constant guessing, the emotional chess, the fragile hope that she'd wake up one day and treat me the way I'd always treated her. And the best part, I didn't need to know who she was with anymore, because whoever he was, he'd just done me a favor. By the second week, Haley's messages turned from emotional to desperate. The silence was eating at her. Every few hours, she'd drop another text, sometimes apologetic, sometimes angry, sometimes both in the same breath. Hale, I know I messed up, but you're acting like I cheated or something. Hale, you could at least tell me it's over instead of ghosting me. Hale, please, can we meet? Just talk. I miss you. I didn't need to respond. My silence was the answer. One night, she called 12 times in a row. I muted my phone, left it charging on the counter, and watched a movie with Tyler. Halfway through, I heard the vibration again. Another voicemail. Out of curiosity, I played it on speaker. Her voice was shaky. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything I've been through for you, I was just confused. Okay. You think you're perfect. You think you're better than me. Tyler chuckled. She's not apologizing. She's auditioning for sympathy. He was right. Haley didn't want closure. She wanted control back. The same control she had had when she thought she could dangle me on a string, testing how far she could push before I'd snap. But I wasn't snapping. I was gone. 2 days later, she tried a new tactic. Haley, I talked to my mum about everything. She said, "You're being cold. That's not you." Haley, she thinks you still love me. She's right, isn't she? That one made me shake my head. It wasn't that she was reaching out, it was how she did it. The same manipulation, just wearing concern as a mask. Then came the message that made it all click. Haley, you'll regret this when you realize I was the best thing that ever happened to you. No one else will love you like I did. It was such a familiar line. The kind of thing she'd said during every argument. Every moment, she wanted to remind me how lucky I was to have her, but this time, the words didn't sting. They felt hollow. The next morning, she showed up at my apartment. I just gotten home from work, still holding a grocery bag, when I saw her sitting on the steps outside the building. Hoodie pulled up, eyes red. "Can we talk?" she said quietly. "Isail, there's nothing left to talk about." Highly. She stood up. "You don't mean that you've always listened before. You don't just throw away what we had. You threw it away." I said calmly, "At 2-0 Remember, her face tightened. It was a mistake. I was drinking. I was angry. I didn't think you'd take it seriously. I laughed softly, not out of cruelty, but disbelief. You told me I didn't need to know who you were with. You made it serious. She tried to grab my arm, but I stepped back. Please, just hear me out. He doesn't matter. He's out of the picture. He's actually... I cut her off. Yeah. I heard he blocked you. Her eyes widened. I didn't have to explain how I knew. The silence said enough. Her voice cracked. So that's it. After everything, you're just done. Yeah. I said quietly, I'm done being treated like I'm lucky you tolerated me. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. She just stood there, tears welling, the same defiance flickering and dying in her expression. I walked past her toward the door. Goodbye. Hi, Lee. Behind me, I heard her whisper, you'll come back? You always do. I didn't look back. That night, I blocked her number, not out of spite, but peace. And as I sat on the balcony later, watching the city glow under a calm sky, I thought about how strange it was that the same woman who once made my world feel full now couldn't even reach me. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like freedom. And the best part, I hadn't said a word to get it. A month passed before I heard about her again. It came from Sarah, one of Haley's old friends, who'd quietly taken my side. She ran into me at a coffee shop, all smiles until she leaned closer and said, you probably don't care, but Haley's kind of a mess right now. I didn't answer right away. Just let her talk. Apparently, Daybreak partner, the mystery guy Haley had been so protective of, wasn't single. He had a girlfriend. Worse, he'd been using Haley as his rebound, ghosting her the moment she started asking for more. Word spread fast. She tried to spin it, saying they were never serious, but everyone knew she'd caught feelings. Now, she was showing up at parties alone, posting vague self-love quotes and pretending she didn't care, but people noticed the cracks. The same girl who once bragged about having options couldn't get a text back from anyone. I didn't laugh. I didn't feel pity either. I just felt done. A few weeks later, Haley reached out again. This time through a new number. I didn't recognize it until the first message popped up. Unknown. I just want to talk. Please don't block me right away. I stared at the screen for a long moment before opening it. Hi, Lee. I miss you. I really do. I know I screwed up. You didn't deserve any of that. I just thought I needed space. But I was stupid. I thought he cared about me. He didn't. Another message followed almost immediately. Hi, Lee. I see now what I lost. You were good to me. You were patient, loyal. Kent. I took that for granted, and I'm sorry. There it was. The speech every guy imagines hearing but never needs once he's truly healed. I didn't respond. I just put the phone down, made dinner, and went about my evening. By midnight, she sent another one. Hi, Lee. If you're seeing someone else, just tell me. I can handle it. I just want closure. That one made me smile faintly. Not because I was seeing anyone, but because the tone had shifted. The same girl who once mocked me for being too safe was now desperate for the stability she'd thrown away. The next morning, she called. I let it ring twice, then answered, hey. I said flatly. There was a pause. You picked up. She whispered. I did. I replied, what do you need? Hi, Lee. Her voice trembled. I need to see you. I can't stop thinking about how I messed everything up. I can't sleep. I can't focus. You don't understand how much you meant to me. Hi, Lee. I said evenly. I do understand, but I also remember how much I meant to you when it mattered. That's not fair. It's fair. I interrupted. You told me I didn't need to know who you were with. You ended it. You wanted a break, and I respected that permanently. She went silent. Then she tried again. People make mistakes. Okay? You think you're so perfect. You think you've never hurt anyone. Isal, the difference is, when I hurt someone, I own it. You tried to justify it. You don't get to rewrite it now that you're lonely. Her tone turned bitter, so you're really just done. Like, Completely. You'll regret this someday. She snapped, voice rising. When you realize nobody will ever love you like I did. I smiled slightly. You're right. No one will. And that's the point. She hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice. A few months later, I got promoted at work. I'd picked up new hobbies, rebuilt my confidence, started living without the constant weight of her moods and manipulation. For the first time in years, peace felt normal. Then one evening, I ran into her again purely by accident. It was at a friend's birthday dinner. I didn't know she'd be there until I walked in. She looked shocked when she saw me. Her hair was shorter, her smile forced. I was standing beside a few co-workers, laughing about something. When she walked over, "Hey," she said softly, "You look good." "Thanks." I replied, "You too. You've been busy?" "Huh?" she asked, glancing at the group I was with. "Yeah. Work's been solid. Life's good?" She hesitated, then gave a sad little laugh. Guess you really did move on." I looked at her, calm and collected. "I moved on the night. You said I didn't need to know who you were with." Her expression faltered. I smiled politely. "Take care." "Highly." Then I turned back to my friends and picked up the conversation where I'd left off. No lingering glances. No second thoughts. Just peace. And as I walked out later that night, I realized something simple but powerful. She hadn't just lost me, she'd lost access to the version of me that cared. The break she wanted, it lasted forever. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.